warm welcome to 7 Days, where we take you back through the past week with some of the stories that raised debate. We bring you an update of the woes that have befallen former We bring you an update of the woes that have befallen former Premier Mama Mbabazi, the happenings in the opposition party FDC, and as the country looks at the 2014 primary leaving examinations, a school where the pupils write with sticks. And for the very first time, I'm Sheila Nduhuchire, and with me is Maureen Nambalira on sign language. Let's get right in with the headlines. Mama Mbabazi takes leave of office as Secretary General. Pressure continues to mount. We have an order from above. Civil society turned away former FDC President Kizza Besigye from a meeting on electoral reforms. Strong but will it hold as opposition party? FDC accepts Nandal and Sabit resignation. And a case of grand theft. 200 diplomatic passports go missing from the Department of Immigration. Once again, a very warm welcome to 7 Days. It is a pleasure to have your company. Now, embattled ruling party NRM Secretary General John Patrick Amama Mbabazi appears to have cut his losses and agreed to an apparent party resolution to take leave. In a letter to the NRM chairman, President Yoweri Museveni, Mbabazi said it was high time he took leave since he had not done so for the 9 years he has served as Secretary General. Deputy NRM spokesman Ofono Pondo confirmed the development to NTV, saying Mbabazi would be out of office until 31st December. Now, Mbabazi appears to have been tactically rendered impotent ahead of the NRM Delegates Conference that has been brought forward. That story starts us off. The ruling NRM Party's Central Executive Committee held almost 2 back-to-back meetings last week. SEC comprises the top leadership of the party, including the chairman, vice chairpersons, secretary general, and the deputy, the regional chairpersons of the 5 leagues, the treasurer, and deputy. The meetings at State House, Nakasero, presided over by party chairman, President Yoweri Museveni, largely dwelt on tackling matters of cohesion in the party. Indeed, at the end of the Saturday meeting, the NRM chairman issued a statement saying the party's top policy organ, SEC, decided that the reported disharmony within the movement be resolved decisively in order to ensure cohesion within the movement organization. Sources in the Saturday SEC meeting told NTV that it was also decided that Secretary General Amama Mbabazi takes leave until December. Now, Mbabazi has obliged and written to NRM Chairman President Museveni, informing him of his desire to take leave of absence from office.
Following the meeting of Saturday, it was found necessary that the Secretary General should take leave. And accordingly, this morning, the Secretary General Mbabazi came to Plot 10 Chadondo Road to hand over as Secretary General, taking leave of absence with effect from today until 31st of December.
In the letter, Mbabazi says he had not taken leave in the 9 years he has been NRM Secretary General. In Mbabazi's absence, Deputy Secretary General Dorothy Hyuha, who is also Uganda's High Commissioner to Tanzania, will take charge.
The chairman, who is also the president who posted her to Tanzania, should be able to ask her to relocate for this specific duration.
In the days before and after Mbabazi was sacked as Prime Minister, tempers flared in the party, with the leadership bitter that he had refused to hand over the membership register. Now, with Mbabazi temporarily out, Opondo says the party will use the opportunity to reorganize.
The Secretary General has not been active, has not been in touch with the party members, with the party work. So we hope this can pave way and we reignite re-engagement with the party organs at various levels.
Opondo says Huha will start with cleaning up the register and steering the proposed amendments to the party constitution. Mbabazi's leave that ends on 31st December means that he will at best participate in the NRM National Delegates Conference due in the same month as an ordinary member. The conference, originally set for 2015, was brought forward. Meanwhile, some members in the NRM Youth League are calling for an honest discussion on the internal bickering in the party to guarantee its future.
The NEC is supposed to sit at least twice in a year, according to our constitution. But we sat all at one in 2012. The structural leadership are not doing their work. It means there's something lacking, because it is through the delegate conference where people amend the constitution, where people bring new ideas.
Shilandu Huchire, NTV. Former president of the Forum for Democratic Change Party, Dr. Kizza Besigye, was on Thursday afternoon asked to leave a consultative meeting in Masaka on the directives of security agents. The meeting had been called to discuss electoral reforms in preparation for the 2016 general elections. The meeting is part of the ongoing consultations organized by opposition parties and National NGO Forum on electoral reforms. According to the organizers, they acted on orders from security officials from the district.
As a countrywide tour by opposition activists together with civil society organizations to demand for electoral reforms continues, the team was in Masaka today. As usual, many opposition members and the general public turned up for a meeting at Hotel Brevard in Masaka town. Among them was former FDC leader Kizza Besigye, who is also part of the national coordinating team that is demanding for free and fair elections. But before the meeting could kick off, Besigye was told to leave the room where the meeting was taking place on orders from the district security teams. According to Mwanje Lubowa, the NGO Forum chairman for Western Region, there was an understanding between the organizers and the district security team on the procedures to follow, especially on which people should attend the meeting.
It was just a question of what we agreed yesterday, because yesterday they asked us for the list of the participants and he was not one of them, because he is not part of the regional people supposed to be here.
There is no other reason that they can give. Actually, I am the organizer of this conference because I'm part of the coordinating team.
The Mid-Central Consultative meeting demanding free and fair elections was strictly for members from that area, and this could have been one of the reasons why Besigye was ordered out.
This workshop is purely a regional workshop for this region, and the members invited have been from this region, not the national figures, not people from the east or from the north.
I understand they first said he's not from Uganda. As you all know, I am from Uganda.
When contacted about the matter, Southern Regional Police Commander Edward Mugweri denied responsibility and blamed it on the organizers.
Actually, the organizers asked us as to why he should attend the meeting. So we told them, it's you who organized the meeting, it's up to you to allow him or not to allow him, and they decided not to allow him.
In a dejected mood, Besigye boarded his car and drove off. This is the third consecutive year that the opposition and civil society activists are carrying out consultative meetings countrywide on electoral reforms. They say these must be amended before the 2016 general elections.
Still on political matters, the Secretary General of the Opposition Forum for Democratic Change Party, Alisa Lasso, says the party can do without its treasurer, Nandala Mafabi, and his deputy, Jack Sabiti. The two top officials, Mafabi and Sabiti, tendered in their resignations, citing breach of the party constitution and financial problems. One political analyst, however, warns that this is a sign of a stormy future. Maurice Chol reports.
The resignation of the Forum for Democratic Change treasurer Nandala Mafabi and his deputy Jack Sabiti may have come as a surprise, but other senior party officials say they saw it coming.
But we are also very willing to proceed with or without the two.
The two officials had allegedly taken a backseat for over a year following the highly contested party elections in which Mafabi lost the race for the presidency to Mugisha Muntu.
In this country, be careful, ladies and gentlemen. So when I say that please, you've tested me on loss, Face my other colleagues on those, see how they handle it.
Nandale, former leader of opposition in parliament, is seen as a strong vote puller in the Eastern Bloc. Jack Sabiti, on the other hand, is considered a powerful asset for the party in the West. The two, in tendering their resignation, said they would remain ordinary party members. They cited a breach of the party constitution and financial problems as the basis for their decision. The party's Secretary General Alice Alaso, however, alleges that the two are playing double standards.
How do you resign from something that is unconstitutional? If our tenure now had become unconstitutional, why are they resigning 1 year down the road from something that's unconstitutional?
Mafabi declined our request for an interview while Sabiti did not respond to our calls and requests. But could the resignations be signs of harder times for one of the strongest opposition parties in the last decade? Political analyst Professor Richard Okire says throwing in the towel would not solve the party's problems.
When you are out, you cause more problems. So if this type of breakages continue, we don't expect much from FDC.
He also argues that the timing could also affect the opposition party's capacity to gain some ground, with the ruling party NRM currently embroiled in its own internal wrangles.
The movement is trying to get organized, but they have a problem. Now the option would have been FDC, but FDC has showed us something very ugly. This is a very ugly picture. For the top officials holding finance to resign because there is no money.
The FDC has already declared the two positions vacant and encouraged its members to take up those posts. Alaso says funds to hold a delegates conference to elect new office bearers has already been secured. Maurice Ochol, NTV.
Thank you, Maurice Ochol. At least 200 diplomatic passports have gone missing in the Passport Control Office of the Directorate of Citizenship and Citizenship and Immigration Control in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The watchdog Parliament Public Accounts Committee that interfaced with senior ministry officials heard that the passports went missing under the watch of officials in the Passport Office. Previously, countries like the United States and the United Kingdom raised the red flag on the misuse of Uganda's diplomatic passports and threatened to blacklist them.
Ugandan passport fall into 4 categories: the red diplomatic passport, the green official passport, the ordinary passport which is navy blue, and the light blue East African passport. Now it has emerged that at least 200 diplomatic passports were stolen from the Passport Control Office in the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control.
One box which contains 200 passports was missing.
Diplomatic passports are carried by senior government officials, including the Vice President, the Speaker, Chief Justice, and Uganda's diplomats abroad. This was one of the issues the watchdog Parliament Public Accounts Committee put to senior officials in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The Director of Citizenship and Immigration Control, Godfrey Sasaga, said investigations have been launched into the passport scam.
As we speak, several officers actually were investigated. One of them was charged in court, the one who was in charge. DPP, yes, lost interest in this case. He said, as government, we've lost interest in this case. Now, whether or not they have closed the file is what I'll find out.
A few years ago, the US and the UK raised a red flag on Uganda's diplomatic passports, saying they were being used to commit crime. These countries threatened to blacklist the passports.
Foreigners should really be the last people to have already passports.
Under what circumstances does a Chinese, they look alike, qualify for a diplomatic passport? And how would you identify him? A Southern Sudanese?
We have former ministers, former what and so on, who've been out of field for so many years, over 10 years. But they are still holding these diplomatic passports.
Well, I got one in 1998.
No longer a minister. But first of all, this is a valid passport. Two, but no, there is a withdrawal passport and change of passport. Yes, you withdraw the diplomatic and give the ordinary one.
Meanwhile, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Stephen Kagoda, has apologized for the delay in issuing national identity cards that had earlier been set for September.
We are sorry for the slight delay in the issuance of the national identity cards.
If a university like Makerere can give better quality
all their IDs can be read centrally. And you, as you're just proposing those things of color separation and stuff like that.
Ministry had given assurance that the national identity cards would be issued starting this month, but the month is ending in slightly over a week. Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
Thank you, Jingo Francis. Now we will take a short break and return with these and more stories. Makerere University lecturers give the administration 2 weeks ultimatum over incentives amid a financial squeeze. Also coming up, where the stick is a pen, a school in Luka struggles to teach amid scarcity. 7 days continues after this short break. See you shortly. Welcome back. This past Wednesday, the Constitutional Court quashed a petition by the July 11, 2010 terror suspects in which they were challenging their trial in Uganda. In their petition, the suspects, 5 Kenyans and 2 Tanzanians, asked court to declare the trial in Uganda unconstitutional. They say they were brought for trial in Uganda without extradition orders from their countries by a competent court.
Under Wednesday's early morning downpour, the suspects arrived at the High Court premises where the Constitutional Court sat to rule on their petition. Immediately they emerged from the prison's bus, they were led to the court cells and held there briefly. Outside court, security was tightly manned by the anti-terrorism squad, assisted by prison's officers. Everyone accessing the courtroom was subjected to a thorough check. At about 11 a.m., the Constitutional Court judges, led by the Acting Chief Justice Stephen Kavuma, arrived to deliver their ruling. The suspects included 5 Kenyan nationals, 2 Tanzanians and 4 Ugandans. The petition was led by the 5 Kenyans who challenged the High Court's decision to try them in Uganda. The other allegations by the petitioners included ill treatment by intelligence officers from Kenya, Uganda, the US, UK and Tanzania. The suspects also contested the move by the Directorate of Public Prosecutions to use their confessions in the trial, saying that they had been extracted from them under duress. While delivering the ruling, the judges quashed their demands, saying the offense committed by the suspects was too grave and that releasing them poses a great security threat to the state and the general public.
That after a long period of time, we have finally got the go-ahead from the court to go ahead with the prosecution of the suspects who we think or who we allege are responsible for the bombings that took place here in 2010 in July. Very many people have been waiting with bated breath, I think, victims of those who were involved, those who lost, those that were dear to them. So the prosecution process certainly is one of those that will be necessary in addressing that injustice that happened.
I think it's a good judgment because they've evaluated the evidence, they have mentioned certain pertinent issues which are constitutional in nature, although by the end of the day we actually lost.
The court also cleared the Uganda police of allegations that they had a hand in the arrest of the suspects from Kenya and Tanzania, adding that the 2 countries voluntarily collaborated with Ugandan officials. It was, however, agreed upon by all the 5 judges that the High Court should address their complaints of illegal detention and torture.
This certainly is a great message, a very important message that law enforcement needs to take into consideration. However, we also think that it is time for us probably to think about the 48-hour rule seriously. I know that we know that in many jurisdictions, the 48 or 24-hour rule is not as strict as within our constitution. In some constitutions, even within East Africa, you can go back to the court after the expiry of the period and ask for an extension of that time in justifiable circumstances. I think this sends a message that we need to think about closely as a nation. Should we leave the 48-hour rule?
Prosecution alleges that on July 11, 2010, the 11 and others still at large in Kampala unlawfully delivered and discharged explosives at Chadondo Rugby Grounds, an Ethiopian village in Kabalagala, leaving more than 70 people dead.
Away from terror, we turn now to matters education. Makerere University teaching and non-teaching staff and students have given government a 2-week ultimatum to clear the salary arrears. The staff are also demanding health insurance and want it effected next semester. The resolutions were made during a crisis meeting of university staff and students. The meeting was held on Thursday, 2 days after students went on strike over a foiled increment of graduation fees by more than double. Sudhir Biarhanga reports.
Those were some of the scenes at Makerere University on Monday and Tuesday as students protested an increment in graduation fees from 90 to 220,000 shillings. Now, teaching and non-teaching staff as well as students held a crisis meeting in a bid to resolve some of the challenges. The teaching and non-teaching staff are demanding for the payment of their incentives for September and October.
As we have the rabbit which is domestic, you cannot forget about the wild nature. The buffalo is a wild animal and you have to come up with measures and methods that are supposed to chase for the buffalo.
Makerere University Council, which is the supreme governing body, is committed to the payment of the incentive.
The staff also resolved that the university offers them health insurance, effective next semester that opens next year.
How can you afford to survive in this country when you are getting given a little pay and there's no health insurance?
We shall be able to operationalize it in the next semester because already the consultations are going on between the different entities.
Another matter they want tackled urgently is the 10% university contribution to the retirement benefits of staff.
During a meeting with the university staff last month, President Museveni pledged that government will handle most of the sticky issues. However, he also demanded that the university leadership should introduce development programs and also scrap off some of the cost units such as conflict management. In today's meeting, it was resolved that the committee in charge should come up with a conclusive report within 3 weeks prior to the matter.
Allow it time, which is end of November.
A committee member who was not comfortable to speak on record, awaiting the conclusion of the assessment, says at least 40% courses in various departments will be scrapped to reduce the unnecessary expenses, blamed for the financial gaps at the institution. As the university grapples with numerous challenges, some of the staff blame the unit leaders in some departments for the mess.
If you cannot balance an accounting equation as an accountant, why are you there?
Sudhir Biarhanga, NTV.
Now, in about a week and a half, primary 7 candidates will sit the primary leaving examinations across the country. In Luka district in eastern Uganda, some pupils who studied by writing on the bare ground and keeping no records of what they learnt will be sitting the same exams. They will have to compete with their well-facilitated counterparts in Kampala and other urban areas.
This is the primary 1 classroom at Pusilo Primary School in Luka district in eastern Uganda. It's class hours, but the classroom is empty.
7 days make a week.
The pupils have had to move outside into the compound to write the exercise on the soil. This is because most of the pupils in the lower classes don't have pencils and books on which to write. So the teachers improvise by taking lessons to the bare ground. The pupils use sticks in the place of pencils and the ground as the book. The school is under the Universal Primary Education UPE scheme. According to the UPE policy, parents are supposed to buy books, pens and provide lunch for their children as government covers tuition and functional fees. But the parents have reportedly shunned their responsibilities. Here, the teacher has told the pupils to draw some of the things they see at home. After a short while, the teacher moves around to assess the pupils' work and awards marks. After all is done, the soil is cleared of the exercise. So the pupils have no record of their work. They cannot revise and have to pray that the weather remains conducive for learning. Woe unto them if there is rain or wind. Not surprisingly, out of the 137 pupils who sat primary leaving examination at the school last year, just one obtained a first grade. The classrooms built in 1970 were not completed and have never been rehabilitated either. There are no doors, so residents and animals can easily access the classrooms.
People around just defecated is our class here. So it is cleaning it every morning.
Besides, there are just a few classrooms to accommodate over 800 pupils.
Wow, a sad story indeed. We wish those children the best of luck. Now on to a story of inspiration. An O-level candidate in Lyantonde district with special needs is competing with thousands of other candidates for honours in the Uganda Certificate of Education exams. Unlike his colleagues, the 20-year-old is writing the exams with his feet. This is Ronald Nwagaba's story.
It's now the second week into the exams for the Uganda Certificate of Education, with senior 4 students countrywide determining their fate and hoping to move to advanced level. And here at St. John's Comprehensive Secondary School at Kaliro village in Lyantonde district is a student like no other. 20-year-old Ronald Nwagaba is among the 125 candidates at this center, and he writes with his feet. Due to the strict rules of the Uganda National Examination Board and the need to allow him time to concentrate, the teachers only allowed NTV to see Nwagaba write his name on the exams paper. If you didn't see him write, it's hard to believe that this beautiful writing was inscribed by feet and not hands. Despite his special need, Nwagaba is allowed the same time like the other students to complete his exams.
Maybe for the case of mixing, picking, handling, and so on.
The youngster is ambitious. He looks forward to being a presenter on TV or radio. But there is one problem. He's not sure of completing school due to the challenges his parents are facing in paying tuition. Nwagaba's father died while he was in primary 3, and his mother has been fending for him since then.
Because my parents are not rich, they are poor, because I have one parent and he cannot manage to do all the things I want.
Nwagaba showed us the other things he can do with his feet, and we were truly blown away by his skills and tact.
Disability is not inability indeed. That story winds up this edition of 7 Days. From me, Shilandu Huchire, and the entire crew, it's have a blessed week ahead.